Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to a beautiful day here in Northampton. Sun's out, blue skies, etc. Which makes it more even apt to do this one today on Marathon Day, where we look at the bigger catalogues and we're going to look at Bob Marley and the Wailers today. Now, Bob Marley and the Wailers were formed in 1963 and they went under names such as the Wailers prior to the Wailing Rude Boys, the Wailing Wailers and the Teenagers. They are, of course, a Jamaican ska rocksteady reggae band. Founding members of this band are Bob Marley, who was Robert Nesta Marley, Peter Tosh, whose real name is Winston Hubert McIntosh, and Bunny Wailer, known to us as also as Neville Livingston. They worked with great reggae producers like Leslie Kong and Lee Scratch Perry. Then they signed to Island Records, and an important part of this band was the I3s, which included, of course, Bob's wife, Rita. Sadly, Marley passed away in 1981 of cancer, only the age of 36. What a great loss to the music world. I remember him dying, and it was such a sad time. So they released 13 albums during their period. So coming in at number 13, we've got the debut album from 1965, and it's called The Wailing Wailers. So playing on here are Bob Marley on vocals, Pete Tosh on vocals, Bunny Wailer on vocals, Beverly Kelso and Cherry Smith. So the first track on here is called I'm Gonna Put It On. I love this. It is so early, sort of gives you that sunshine sort of feel. Yeah, I love the backing vocals on that. Absolutely brilliant. Then we have I Need You. Now, this is a 1964 version. Interesting tracks. The recordings are quite muffled on this. But it gives it that authenticity of being very early. Lonesome Feeling comes next. It's an interesting track. It feels like it's being recorded in a little shack with a little microphone and tape recorder. Then they do a version of Burt Bacharach's What's New Pussycat, and it's an interesting version. It gives it that twist of that sort of ska two-tone feel to it. Then there's a very early version of One Love. It's pretty good, even this very basic version of it. Then we have When the Well Runs Dry. It's okay. It's got that lovely sort of groove to it. Then they do a Munglo's cover of 10 Commandments of Love. It's not a bad version of the song. Then we have Rude Boy. It's a really good track. We know the people have recorded it later on. Then we have a Junior Braithwaite song, It Hurts to Be Alone. Quite bluesy this one is, and I quite like that. Love and Affection, a nice gentle tune with some really nice trumpet on it. Nothing wrong with that one. I'm Still Waiting. I'm not a very big fan of that. And then we have Simmer Down. It's got that real Caribbean sunset feel to it. This isn't a bad album for many feats, just because it's at the bottom. I enjoyed listening to this. I'd never heard it before. It's a really good album, and I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 12, we got the third album from 1971, and it's called Soul Revolution Part 2, and it's also known as Soul Revolution. So it's Bob Marley, Pete Tosh, Bunny Wailer. We've got Aston Barrett and Carlton Barrett on here as well. Keep On Moving, written by Curtis Mayfield, and they do a great version. It's a great vocal from Bob. Absolutely brilliant. Don't Rock My Boat. Now, this appears again as a new song on Kayla called Satisfy My Soul. And this is sort of a real stripped back version. It's quite good. Then we have another version of Put It On. It's a better version. I love the bass in this. It's a bit more meaty, and it's a really good vocal from Bob. Then we've got this wonderful Fussing and Fighting. Wonderful track. The vocals on this are very good. Doopy Conqueror V4, another track that we will hear about later. This is the original. The backing vocals are more for part of this that makes it good. Then we have Mensive. You've got a mixture of great guitar, Caribbean sounds, really good track. Riding High, written by Cole Porter and Neville Livingston. This is a really good. It's got that real Caribbean groove. Then they do Kayla, which appeared on the album, an album called that as well. It's another good version of this. It's pretty good. Then we have African Herbman, pretty solid song. Stand Alone, my favourite track on this album. I just love the keyboards on this. Sun is Shining, another favourite of mine. I love the harmonica on this, and it's a great vocal. Brainwashing, keyboards, nice little, that typical reggae sort of drum beat. Excellent little track. I like these early Bob Marley and the Wailers albums. There's something about them. It's all that traditional Caribbean sound. It's an excellent album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, coming in at number 11. Now, it's the fourth album, and it's not a compilation album, but it's just called what it is. The Best of the Wailers. It's recorded in May 70. Prior to the band's involvement with Lee Perry. So it's Bob Marley, Pete Tosh, Bunny Livingston. Additionals on here. We've got the Beverly All-Stars, Gladys Anderson on piano, Winston Wright the organ, Paul Douglas drums, Jackie Jackson bass, Lloyd Park plays bass. Got Linford Brown and Radcliffe Bryan on guitars, as long as Lynn Tate. So the first track on here is called Soul Shakedown Party. One of my favourite tracks on this album. I love the keyboards on this. Then we have Stop the Train, great track from Pete Tosh. Love this track. You can see where a lot of bands like the Specials and Madness and all that, Ska, Two-Tone, got their influences was tracks like this. Up next is Caution. Love the guitars on this. Another wonderful vocal. Soul Captics, very shaky recording. It just sounds like it's been recorded in a mud hut. It really does. It's a fascinating track. Then we got Go Tell It to the Mountain, which is a traditional song. It's a Caribbean song. Great track. Great version of it. Can't You See? The backing vocals on this, great. It's one of my favourites on the album. Soon Come. Solid, nothing wrong with it. Gentle sort of track. Cheer Up. Now, this is one of them tracks. All you think about is Caribbean beaches, chilling out, and Death in Paradise. I like that track. And then my favourite on here is called Back Out. The piano is just gives it that sort of authentic sort of Caribbean reggae sound. It's an absolutely wonderful track. Do It Twice. Interesting drumming. I love reggae drumming. It's a different beat to everything else. I just love how the intro comes in with them sort of hollow drums. Pretty cool track. And that was the last track. Good album. Not a bad track on here again. I've enjoyed listening to these albums, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. What time for a drink? Okay, coming in at number 10, we've got the second album. It's called Soul Rebels, and it's the first to be released outside of Jamaica and produced by Lee Scratch. So we've got Bob, Peter, Bunny, and Rita Marley appears on this as well. Soul Rebel is the first track. Love this. The bass is good. It's got a quirky little keyboard. It's got that sort of feel to it. Excellent little track. Then we have Try Me. Now the guitar effects on here are really good. It's a great vocal from the main man. It's Alright. Interesting arrangement. And the guitars sound good. It's that little beat that really adds to it. No Sympathy. Absolutely wonderful track. Another beat tosh track. Just got that lovely sound to it. Love that track. My Cup, classic. Great drumming. Great vocals. Wonderful track. Then we have my favourite track on here called Soul Almighty. I've heard this so many times. It's actually on one of my compilation albums. It's just a wonderful track. It's got that classic, already that classic Bob Marley and the Wailers sound is coming through. Then they do a Curtis Mayfield track, Rebels Hop. It's a really funky version of it as well, pretty good. Then we have Cornerstone. Guitars on this are chunky and crisp. 400 Years, solid reggae style. That lovely sort of beat to it, that relaxed beat. No Water, the rhythm, same rhythm as the last track, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a really upbeat rhythm. Reaction, a little bit different. It's got a different keyboard sound to it. It really works as well. It's an excellent track. My Sympathy, just a continuation of that sort of album sound on this one. That's it. So another solid album, probably the best one of those early years, and I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay, then coming in at number 9, we have the 13th and final studio album that was released after Bob Marley's death. This came out in 1983, and the songs were compiled from unreleased material and singles recorded during Bob's lifetime. So on here is Bob Marley on lead vocals and rhythm guitar, Aston Barrett on the bass and percussion, Carlton Bennett on the drums, Tyrone Downey on keyboards, Junior Marvin on guitar, Earl Lindo on keyboards, and Alvin Patterson does the percussion. And the I3s appear on here, and that's Rita Marley, Marcia Griffiths, and Judy Mowat. Got loads of people playing sax and that on here, so we'll be here all day going through those. So the first track has it's got a guest drummer. It's Carlton Davis, and it's Chant Down Babylon. Love the drums from Carlton on this. Just excellent track. Then we have a classic from Bob, Buffalo Soldier. My favourite track on here, and I just love this track. It's one of my favourite Bob Marley tracks. Jump Nyabingi. Great vocal from Bob. The bass line is terrific, and the drums sort of mix around with that one. Then we have a track called Mix Up. Actually done on synthesizers, this is. It's quite good, and it works. Lovely track. Give Thanks and Praises. The I3 star on this. They're wonderful harmonised backing vocals. Wonderful track. Then we have Black Man Redemption. The favourite bit of this track for me is that percussion. It's an interesting sort of mixture on that one. Trench Down, classic sound, nice horns on this, just what you need. Gives you that upbeat feel to it. Stiff Necked Fools. It's okay, not one of my favourites. I Know, a little bit different, a little bit more soulful than reggae. Excellent track. And then we got Rastaman Live Up. Backing vocals again are wonderful, harmonised well with Bob, and it's just a great track. A great album, put together after his death. It's got some great tracks on it. It's a really good listen, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.7. Okay, coming in at number 8, got the 10th album from 1978, and it is Kayla. Bob Marley's on here, of course. Junior Marvin's lead guitar, Tyrone Organdy Downey on keyboards, Aston Barrett on bass, Carlton Barrett on the drums, Winston Grennan on the drums as well. We've got Alvin Patterson doing some percussion, Vince Gordon plays trombone, Marley riff. The I3s are doing the backing vocals. So the first track is another great track, Easy Shanking. You got to listen to this on a beach. I think it's just got that Caribbean beach feel to it, and I get it. It's a wonderful track. Then we get Kayla, which was on one of the early albums, and this is a bit better. They've filled it out. It's got more depth, and I think this is the best version of this song. Is This Love is a classic from Bob Marley and the Wailers. I love this song. What's my favourite track on the album? Sun is Shining, a better version than the other on the Soul Rebels album. Again, it's been filled out and it sounds great. Satisfy My Soul, another song from the Soul Rebels album. They've remixed it, really re-recorded it, and it sounds fantastic now. It's always a good song, but this is the definitive version. She's Gone. I love the vocals on this, especially those backing vocals from the girls. Wonderful track. Misty Morning, one of Bob's great vocals. The percussion on this is great. It's just a great song from this period. Then we have Crises. Great bass line on this. Love that track. Running Away. Wonderful guitar tones on that one. Time Will Tell. One of them wonderful soulful reggae tracks. It's a beautiful vocal from Bob. So much emotion in that one. And that was the last track. Another excellent album. The updated version, some of these songs from Soul Rebel were amazing. Just a brilliant album all round, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 7, we've got a 1973 now for the 6th album, Burnin. On here is Bob Marley, Pete Tosh, Bunny Wailer, Aston Barrett, Carlton Barrett, Earl Lindo, and extras here we've got John Brundrick that does keyboards. This starts off with one of the most classic songs from Bob Marley, Get Up, Stand Up. Love this track. Always have loved this track. It's a bit of a protest song. Nothing wrong with that. Excellent track. Hallelujah Time. The electric piano is excellent on here. Absolutely brilliant. Really gives to it. It mixes in with that bass line. I think it's the backing vocals are great on that. Then we get I Shot the Sheriff. Now I'm going to confess, I've always preferred Eric Clapton's version. This is okay, but I think Eric's is the better version. The backing vocal on this just didn't work for me. Burning and Looting, that rich organ sound really adds to this track. That percussion's great on it as well. Put It On, another. This track has again been remixed and it was featured on another album called Wailing Wailers album. Really good richness. Small Axe, love the organ on this. A really good track. Pass It On, unusual track. The electric piano is a little bit different. It's got a different sort of tone to it, but it works. Then we have another version of Doopy Conqueror, re-recorded, and it's a better version of it as well. One Foundation, rich organ. The drumming on this is absolutely superb. Another good track. Then we have Rastaman Chant. Love the backing vocals on another great vocal from Bob, and that was the last track. Another sterling album. I like the remixes of the older tracks as well. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.2. Okay, coming in at number 6, we have that 11th album from 1979, and it's called Survival. Joining Bob on here is Aston Barrett, Carlton Barrett, Tyrone Downey, Alvin Patterson, Junior Marvin, and Eric Lindo. First track on here is So Much Trouble in the World, one of my favourites on here. It's got that classic beat, it's a great vocal, the lyrics are fantastic. It's a real interesting track. Then we have Zimbabwe, my favourite track on here. I love, it's got a bit of a battle sort of feel to it. The bass is brilliant, percussion really works. Then we have Top Ranking, absolutely brilliant track. The drums on this are grim. I love that sort of hollow sound you get on the drum. Babylon System comes next, second favourite on here. I love the harmonies on this, wonderful track. The title track, Survival. I don't like the start of this, but I like as it progresses, it gets really groovy. Some lovely tones on that. Africa Unite, another of my favourite tracks on here. I love the keyboards, they're very quirky. One Drop. This is one of those reggae songs that's almost gospel. The backing vocals give it that gospel feel to it. It's a really nice track. Ride, Natty Ride, great vocal from Bob. Always love this track. It's got really upbeat feel to it. Ambush in the Night, just a chilled backtrack. I love the drum on this, just very laid back, sort of slow, emotional one. Wake Up and Live, the bass, the horns, absolutely belter track. Good track to end the album with. There's some absolute blinders on this. It's one of them albums that you can put on and just enjoy it from start to finish. So I shall give this one an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay, coming in at number 5, as we have an ambulance going by, it's the 12th album from 1980, Uprising. And we got Bob Marley on here, Aston Barrett, Carlton Davis, Tyrone Downey, Alvin Patterson, Junior Marvin, and Earl Lindo again, with the i3s doing the backing vocals as ever. Coming in from the Cold is a great track. The tones on this are great, and it's that lovely sort of vocal from Bob, and the i3s really give it that distinctive sound. Real Situation, like this track, great reggae beat. The keyboards, that quirky, sharp keyboard, and it adds to it. Bad Card comes next. The bass line on this is absolutely magnificent. Really drives the song along. It's got that relaxed sort of feel, and another great vocal from Bob. My favourite track on here is We and Them. We've got this great bass line and this sort of high-pitched piano sound that you shouldn't really fit, but it does. And I think that's what makes it such a great track. Absolutely wonderful, and that wonderful drum beat as well. Guitar work at the beginning of this is good. It's got a great little lead solo on that as well. Zion Train, more great guitar work on this, and I love the solo. Pimper's Paradise, it's okay. It's not the best track on the album, but it's not bad. There's no bad tracks on these albums. Could You Be Loved, great song, especially that keyboard at the beginning works good. Forever Loving You, Yah, great vocal from Bob, probably the best on the album. Redemption Song is the last song, great song. I think this has got a soulful, it's got a wonderful reggae beat to it as well, and the guitar work is fantastic. Yeah, it's very hard to believe that within a year of this, Bob passed. You just don't know if he was suffering during this, but his vocals are absolutely fantastic on here. I just wondered if his time was short, so he gave it all on this album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.5. We're moving into the top 4, and again, this was very difficult. Now, considering I'd never heard all these albums all the way through it, I just enjoyed these 4 albums. So, coming in at number 4, we have the 8th album from 1976, and it's Rastaman Vibration. We got Bob Earl Smith on guitar, Al Anderson on guitar here, Carlton Barrett on the drums, Aston Barrett on bass, Jean-Alain Roussel on the organ, Tyrone Downey's on here, of course, and the i3s doing the backing vocals. We've got Tommy McCook on saxophone on here, and Donald Kingsley doing some guitar overdubs. So the first track on here is called Positive Vibration. I do love the keyboards in reggae music. I think they really add to it. I love some of the keyboard runs in this, and it's a great vocal from Bob on that one. Roots rock reggae. I've always been impressed with that start of the drums. That dunk. It's just, there's not many genres that has that sort of beat at the beginning of it, and I like that. He's a great drummer, Carlton, and that's a fine example of some great reggae drumming. Johnny Was, written by Rita Marley, and it's a wonderful track. Great vocals on that. Cry to Me, another Rita Marley song. Excellent backing vocals on this from the girls, with an excellent vocal from Bob. Want More. It's got a groove to this, and I like it. It's got an excellent guitar solo on it as well. Crazy Bald Head. I love the start of this. That drumming again, it's that hollowness, and then it goes into that great groove. Absolutely brilliant little track that one is. Who the Cat Fit. Some swirly keyboards on this. It's got a great bass line as well. Night Shift. Some incredible drumming on this and a fine vocal from Bob. Then we have my favourite track on here. It's called War. Nothing to do with the Edwin Starr. I love this. It's a classic track, and it's the bass line. Absolutely fantastic bass line. Then we have Rat Race. Classic track from Bob Marley. The drum and bass in this is fantastic. Definitely one of the classic albums from Bob Marley and the Wailers. Absolute belter. Some great classics on this one. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.6. Okay, coming in at number 3, we've got the 7th album in 1974, and it's called Natty Dread, and it's the first one that he recorded without Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer. It's Bob Marley, Aston Barrett and Carlton Barrett are on here. Bernard Harvey plays piano, Gene Russell's on the Hammond, Al Anderson's on here, and of course the I3s, and Lee Jaffray plays harmonica. First track on this one is Lively Up Yourself, a classic. I absolutely love this. Top drawer Bob Marley, a wonderful vocal on it. And then we do have my favourite track, probably by one of my favourite tracks by Bob Marley, and it's the original version of No Woman No Cry, not the single version that you get that's live. This is the more upbeat version. I like the slower track as well, but this is still just a fantastic track. Then Belly Full But We Hungry. Excellent bass and drum coordination here. The engine room of reggae has always impressed me. Some nice crisp guitar pieces on this as well. It's an excellent track. Rebel Music, 3 o'clock, Roadblock. The backing vocals from the girls are fantastic, and they've got some wonderful harmonica on this. Really adds to it there, the backing vocals from the girls. So yeah, I say Rita Marley song, solid, just pictures the Caribbean perfectly. The title track, Natty Dread, some horns on this. I've always loved this track. Bend Down Low, driven by this keyboard that sort of comes up and down through the track, with the guitars overlaid on it. It's really good. Then we have a track called Talking Blues. Bit bluesy reggae track, great combination, and it works perfectly. Then Revolution, which is more of a soulful track. It's got some wonderful horns and a great vocal from Bob Greatway to end the album. I like this album. It's got some bluesy stuff on it. It's got some traditional reggae and a bit of soul on it, and that's what makes it a good album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.8. Number 2. Well, this was tough between this one and number 1, and in the end I went with the 5th album from 73, Catch a Fire, and it was their first release on Island Records. And we got Bob Marley, Pete Tosh, Buddy Wailer, Aston Barrett, Carlton Barrett, Rita Marley, Marcia Griffiths, with John Rundrick doing some keyboards and Wayne Perkins on guitar. Loads of people on here, so we won't go through that. So the first track is a classic track from the band, and it's Concrete Jungle. Absolutely brilliant track. I love the bass line on this. Some great guitar, and wow, what a vocal from Bob. Slave Driver, solid song. Just got some wonderful tones, very good beat to this. Another version of 400 Years, one of my favourite tracks. It's a remix sort of version. Excellent track. Then my favourite track on here is the remixed Stop That Train. Yeah, much better than the original. It's they just take some of their older tracks and give it a little twist, and it's really good. Baby We've Got a Date, Rocket Baby, one of them classic chuggy sort of reggae songs that you'd really get into the beat. The bass line is great, some great percussion on that. One of the best on the album. Stir It Up. I like the keyboard on this, a little bit different. Again, it works. Great vocal from Bob on that one as well. King K Reggae. I think this is one of them that defines the sound, the reggae sound. You hear this and all you can think of is palm trees, warm soft sand and coconuts. No More Trouble. Unique sound, that reggae drum beat. Brilliant. I love that. One of the fine songs on here. Midnight Ravers. Everything about this one, it's got some wonderful harmonies. It's got a great strong vocal. The beat's great. And that was the last track. It's just one of the great reggae albums. I just find this so uplifting, and I do like playing this one. It just brings back lots of memories. From a guy I used to work with who sadly died of the same cancer as Bob himself. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. But my number one album, and it was my friend's favourite album as well. So I used to hear this a lot. It's the 9th album from 1977, and it's Exodus. So on here, it's Bob Marley, Junior Marvin, Aston Barrett, Carlton Barrett, Tyrone Downey, Alvin Patterson, and the I3 Girls, of course. The first track is a brilliant track called Natural Mystique. The bass line on this is killer. It's got a groove, really gets you going. So much things to say. A fine vocal from Bob Marley, one of my favourite vocals from Bob. And that keyboard that underlies it as well. Guiltiness, a wonderful vocal from Bob and the girls. They complement each other. I love the horns on this. There's nothing wrong with a bit of horns. Then we got The Heathen. Splitting just through, the first bit is really basic, and then the sound just enriches this song. The vocal is fine. Exodus. The second favourite track on here, definitely a top 10 Bob Marley song. Just a wonderful piece of music. Really moving as well. Love it so much. Then we have Jammin'. Classic. Probably my second favourite ever track by Bob Marley. It's like, what does Bob Marley like in his sandwiches? Jammin'. And all his favourite donuts were jammin'. The old jokes come out. It's a wonderful track. Waiting in Vine. This has got like two keyboards, one doing the lead and the other doing like a bassy sound. It really works. It's a little bit different. I do like that track. Turn Your Lights Down Low. Love this track. One of my favourite tracks on the album. Then we have Three Little Birds, which is an absolutely classic, isn't it? Don't worry, every little thing gonna be absolutely wonderful. But the last track, and it is my favourite track ever by Bob Marley, and it's One Love, People Get Ready. Absolutely killer track. I love the piano work in this. It's just absolutely fabulous. Okay, this is the greatest Bob Marley's album, and I agree with my late friend as well. It's just so many classic tracks. This is the album that really he brought me into the world of Bob Marley. I'd heard of him, but he said, you got to listen to this, and that's why it's my number one. And every time I put this on, I do think of my friend Joe. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.5. So there we go. I've really enjoyed doing this one. It sort of made me want to go and get a few more Bob Marley and the Wailer albums now. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Hope you do. And that's all for today. Hopefully it's going to be a nice day. There's blue skies. Do a bit of reggae and the blue skies come. I hope it's going to be one of them days. Anyway, what we got for tomorrow? Well, it is Sophomore Drome Day. And we've got a bit of new wave tomorrow. And we're going to look at Depeche Mode against Talk. And tomorrow is a pick and mix. And it's in the camera's view. And we're going to look at two... They're both on one DV, but two fine performances at Montreux by the brilliant Van Morrison. So that's all coming tomorrow, plus live stream. So have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.